Iron Lady Records, sweet sound.
Lima guaya ume bongo, bongo, bongo. La biama ya ubone, bongo, bongo, jawa bongo, bongo, jawa bongo, bongo, jawa bongo. Dey wa ya, abola bia sene ye wa ya, bongo, jawa bongo. Lo fa ye wa mwela, papa jawa bongo bonu ile. Wawaya, me go ni maine you wa there. Zaba lo boyi, ni wa lo boyi. Apo ma wanta me wa lo boyi. That the pa, the demon of the movement. Corruption la nyepona. Me wo kwa wa iba wo ne ala wo. Inga yewa wo. Ampani mano senga yewazo. Prende ye pana pone. Kanu kuga ore. Kanu kuga vagamo lo mwe. Won pa ya kwa. Etia wa kwa gbogbo ya kwa. Kanu wo pa ka e. Kani amoyima. Ifogabo. Rakira ye wa dero. Ogorano wo bora. Labia no iwa wera. Apotia wa gongo monu ile baba. Labia sene wa ya. Ya ble ya potita. Something zota. Numbebe ya sia. Go magre baba wa pa yi won ga wa po wa no senu e meyi fokale imwe ba mo nu ile bongo te wa bongo yi dogo wa ye bongo e palo aka kwasa do e te wa so na se o palo aka we te wa gongo e palo aka o Palo akawe maso bekewe. Tiawan Gongloe nu pa yo Zuzule. Zuzu petie abi eku e. Tiawan Gongloe inu lewe. La bia no me pa genu Ya o
Focus on Liberia.
Tiawan Gongloe. Baba we go nyere glo Nya go se da mi na go we akao.
If you are just joining us, we want to say welcome to the broadcast.
Tiawan Gongloe nu pa yo.
As a traditional guy, when the traditional music is playing, I can just
you gotta shift.
The topic for today's edition is what is Cllr Tiawan Gongloe bringing to the table? And if you are just joining us, it was a pleasant way to welcome you to the broadcast. Hit that share button and share the broadcast with some.
Set Tiawan Gongloe nu pa kwale. Mi ala bi ami enu kwa segbe wa kamo ke kwa ton meson. Tuzu gbe tie gba loga
The man that Tosin Ba is here. He is the board chairman for Team Gongloe, Minnesota. He's here. And he is my guest in this edition of the Hour of Politics. The man, Councillor Tiawan Gongloe, is running for president. We are asking the question, what is he bringing to the table? And Senkma is here to answer that question, what Gongloe is bringing to the table. Dr. Pan is also chairman of the board, Friends of Gongloe. Well, every good thing must come to an end, and so with this beautiful song made for Tiawan Gongloe, presidential bid, when we return, Dr. Senkpan will be telling us what are they saying in that song, and there where we will begin. The show starts right now.
At Focus on Liberia, we discuss everything Liberia, from education to politics, arts and culture, entertainment, agriculture, history, religion, family, and technology. Focus on Liberia uncovers and showcases the best of Liberia and shows the world the truth about Liberia. We educate, elevate, and promote all things Liberia. We conduct interviews, panel discussions, debates, and more. Tune in to Focus on Liberia on Facebook and YouTube and be a part of the stories that make up the news.
This is Focus on Liberia, and I am Dennis Ja.
And I am Anthony Saye, the host of the Hour of Politics here at Focus on Liberia. Welcome to the broadcast. Let's get to it right away. The topic for today's discussion, what is Councillor Tiawan Saye Gongloe bringing to the table? He's running for president. He said, unquote, I will win this thing in the first round with 65%. I've never heard that before. Hey, Dr. Senkpan is here, and he will be answering that big question. But before we get to the big question, we want to welcome you, Dr. Pan. How you doing? How is that beautiful state of Minnesota? How is family, my friend?
Thank you very much. I'm always glad to be here. Minnesota is actually the best it can be. You always hear that Minnesota is cold, but I can tell you right now we are hot. And you see me in my African suit, that means not cold outside. So it's good here. Family's good, life's good.
All right, family's good, life good. That's the most important thing. Family come first in all that we do. We play a song. I was dancing to the beat. I could hear little words here and there saying some things that are powerful. Papa Gongloe come to us. Nimba is suffering. Grandula is suffering. The youth of Liberia help us. What's the song say? That's the little I could hear.
You just explained the song, right? Okay. But basically, all it's saying was, listen, we've been waiting too long for our one good example, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the song is saying this is the right time.
Mm-hmm.
And say we've been suffering. We've been suffering too long. Nima is suffering, Grand Jida is suffering, even Grand Crew is suffering, right? Everybody's suffering. And it says this is the right time for us. The youth are suffering, right?
Mm-hmm.
The hope that we had, the hope itself is suffering now, right? People
Wow.
are losing hope. So he said, this is the time. And say, Papa Gongloe is coming to save us, to give us this one example. And the reason, and he says, corruption will soon come to an end, and those corrupt people will soon be disgraced, right? And that is the hope we bring to the table. That's just a gist of it.
Mm-hmm.
That a better Liberia is possible, and we know how to make that come to pass.
All right, what a great way to start the show with that song and its meaning. The youth suffering, even Grand Crew is suffering. My Grand Crew is suffering, even though the president is from Grand Crew. Hey, but let's get to it. This song also said the young people are suffering, and then they put out like a Papa Gongloe come to us. So let's start with that.
Yeah.
What is this whole idea about, we need a savior, we need a redeemer. There got to be somebody to come to help us get over this nightmare that we have had for years now. Do you believe that, and taking Tiawan Gongloe out of the picture for now, do you believe that we need a leader in our country, and that leader, when he comes, that's when we will get over this nightmare? Is that what it is?
Well, let me tell you, our belief is that the country Liberia is a very blessed country with abundant natural resources. We also believe that the people of Liberia are a very blessed people, right? And our biggest problem has been what we consider leader, or who we consider leader, and what we thought the leader will come from, or what kind of qualities the leader was supposed to have. That has been our major problem. So we've been looking up north or looking to the sky to see if God will send somebody down with extracurricular talents that will save our country.
And do you believe that it is God who's going to send that person?
Well, the thing is, God has already done his part, right?
Okay.
It has been that we Liberians have always been looking to the wrong places for the answer. And we
So
believe
what
that
part
we
God
have
has done?
God provided us a country with natural resources in abundance. God provided us the kind of psychic in the Liberian community. We were born with a certain motivation to be great people, right? God did that. So we are naturally blessed as a people and as a country. That's his part. He gave us brains that can think, right? Clearly, we're not psychotic. We don't have a country that is full of schizophrenic people, but we have issues, and we have always been looking to the wrong places to find the solutions or the answers to those issues.
So two things. We have been looking in the wrong places, and you are saying God has not sent us the right person. So which is which? Is it that
No,
the
I
right
did not
person
say
has been?
God. I did not say God has not sent us the right person. I said we have the solution. God has done his part. God sent us the right resources and everything we need to take us to the next level. It's just that we have been looking to the wrong places.
But you earlier agreed that we need somebody, a leader. From the beginning of the song, they talk about leader, right? And they were
Exactly.
referencing Tiawan Gongloe as that leader. They even calling him
Exactly.
Gongloe come to our head. And we believe that when you come, corruption will be history. So the question is, do you firmly believe Tiawan is that leader Liberia needs?
Yes, I do. I do with no reservation that he is that leader Liberia needs today.
So now we come to the bigger question. When Comrade God Almighty sent Moses, right? Later on, the people got to know that he was sent. When my comrade Jesus was also sent, in no time, the people got to know that he was sent, to deliver us. So there were things about Jesus Christ, right? The way he worked, the miracles he performed, and the deeds, and the people got to know. So how can we know? Because there were many who doubted until they started seeing some of his works. What has Tiawan done as a person? How has he lived his life for us to think and believe he is the guy?
Well, thank you very much for that question. I should also say that when Moses appeared or Jesus appeared, he was not readily accepted. There was still a huge part of the population that rejected them at that time. And I should also make another comment that Jesus himself said, it is only the wicked people that are always looking for miracles and signs and all that stuff. The good people recognize good when they see it. The godly people recognize righteousness when they see it. But the wicked people are the one always looking for a sign. But I can tell you the good part of your question is what has Gongloe done that convinced a person like me to think he's the right person at this time. They say correctly identifying the problem is 50% of the solution, right?
Okay.
So when we sit down over all these years and think about the issue, we try to figure out what is the actual problem in Liberia. If we were to encapsulate it into one thing, what would that biggest issue be? And if you have been following the news from people outside of Liberia looking in, professionals, like people like Linda Greenfield, the U.S. ambassadors, some of us on this side, and even other, the EU ambassadors, those people, when they come there, they see that Liberia is truly blessed. Even besides the natural resources, the amount of money, donor money, and the money we send from here that goes to Liberia is enough to build Liberia into a modern country twice over. But when these resources get to Liberia, they get siphoned out, right? It's like they can take $500 million here and give it to Liberia today, and within 72 hours, 300 million comes out of Liberia back into either America or Europe. It never stays over there. So we identify corruption as being our biggest problem.
Okay.
Now, if we correctly identify corruption as being the biggest problem Liberia has, so that the resources in our country is not being utilized to maximize the benefit to the majority of the people of Liberia, then a person like Councillor Gongloe is that person that has lived that life that can fight corruption.
Thank you.
Right?
Yeah. Thank you. And so that about the issue of corruption, you said it is our biggest problem. You narrated that the country is blessed with so much, and we have received so much goodwill over the years, and that what we receive, if only we have been able to use it, for the intended purposes and judiciously, Liberia will be a modern country. You also added that money we Liberians are sending, to Liberia. All that put together a significant amount of money to build Liberia, but the reason that did not happen or has not happened to our satisfaction is because of corruption. So I'm sitting here curious, what is this corruption? What is this corruption that you are talking about? Explain it for us to understand.
All right. So I could quote some people directly, but let me explain it in my own perception. Corruption is the embezzlement. The terms the way we are using it today is the use of public resources for personal good, right? Is the corruption could also be like the misutilization of community goods for private benefit. And some corruption also is just, I can give you several examples maybe that people can understand. It's like, okay, if you say Liberia needs $1 million to face the road from here to here, and then they give you the $1 million, and then the road doesn't get done, or you get to do the road for $500,000, but the other half of the $1 million disappears into private coffers. That's corruption. Corruption is also like you got a job opening and there's a qualified person. Maybe he's not from your tribe or not your girlfriend or boyfriend or something, and you leave the qualified person on the side and try to give it to somebody else that you are related to, so one way or another. That's corruption. Corruption is like if you bring it down to community level, will be any means that is available for public good that is embezzled or misappropriated for private benefit. That's the biggest obstacle to development in Liberia today.
Is
And
there
that's
a
what we
big
think government
corruption?
can fight.
Is there big corruption or small corruption? If any, if there are, which one is greater? Which ones have a more, adverse impact or effects on the country?
Well, here's another thing. There are bigger scales of corruption, but corruption has a moral issue. Since you made some references to the Bible, all sins are equal. It's like stealing is stealing, right? It's just like when the guy in your neighborhood steals your chicken, we call him rogue. But when a cabinet minister steals the future of your children by stealing the money that's supposed to build the school building, and when he steals it, then we call it embezzlement or misappropriation. But in the eyes of God, stealing is stealing. And there are bigger scales of stealing, right? So, for example, if there was there were funds to build a school, right? And 2 or 3 people ate the money for that school that could have benefited 300 people. That's a bigger scale of corruption than something. Somebody that was supposed to do something that benefited only 10 people, and one person kind of misappropriated or stole it. So there are different scales. Now, when the president is corrupt, that's the highest scale we have in our country, because the impact affects everybody in the country directly and indirectly. So there are differences in corruption based on the scale and also based on who the corrupt person is.
So who all are involved for practicing the corruption, and what are the places they are carrying on these acts of corruption?
Well, corruption, according to the former president, is a systemic issue in Liberia. You can call one person and say that the person bring the whole corruption in Liberia. And the current president or some of his protege had come out to say, well, corruption being in Liberia since 1822. So corruption truly is a systemic issue. It's not, you can point, that's one of the mistakes we've been making in the past, is like thinking corruption was a personal problem. So when we move the person and put the other person there, Liberia will be saved. Or when we move the one person and put the other one person there, Liberia will be better. That has never happened, except on a very small scale. because the problem is systemic. What needs to change is the whole system. And the way Councillor Gongloe explained it to me, he said, listen, he told me, he said, brother, I've been fighting corruption my whole life. But as long as the president is corrupt, nothing we can do down here is going to hold. Because when the president is corrupt, the ministers will be corrupt. And when the ministers are corrupt, the deputy ministers and the supervisors, everybody's going to be corrupt. It's like if you had a school where the principal was corrupt, the teachers will be corrupt, and then the students will be corrupt themselves, right? So he said, if we're going to fix, since this is a systemic problem, if we're going to fix this system, we got to start from the top down. That's why we believe a better Liberia is possible, and Tiawan Gongloe is that person that can lead our team that's going to fix our country.
So, my other curiosity is, what is responsible for it? From what he explained, it's like he has become a culture, the way of life. What is responsible for it? Where is it coming from? What is influencing it? What is driving it?
All right. I don't know how it started, where it came from, but I can tell you how it is working today in Liberia. Okay. Right? The way it is working today in Liberia is that we have a generation of people that have lost hope in the traditional way of success, right? Mm-hmm. So it used to be back in the day when you and I were growing up, in order to succeed, you needed to go to school and then go to college or trade school, or you needed to learn a particular trade or profession in order, to succeed in life. You had to work for it. If you were a farmer, you had to make a bigger farm. You had to join a coup, make your farm a little bit bigger, so you'll be, a little bit more successful than other people. Now we have a generation of people that truly believe that the way to get to the next level is to know who's up there, and then you can work your way to the next level just by nepotism or favoritism or one of these other isms that is not the traditional calculatable way of being successful. So for example, if a student wanted to go to LU today, in my days, you had to go take the entrance, right? Mm-hmm. Today, you talk about taking the entrance, man, but just me $100 and we'll pass, right? So that thing has seeped into all the orifices of our society. If you wanted, when the former president came to Minnesota one time, and she said, even the pastors in the country are corrupt. These are supposed to be the moral vanguard to the place. But now you can get a pastor to preach any sermon in Liberia today by just passing them something. The pastors who were supposed to be the moral guide to our society, today they don't criticize corruption. They don't criticize political leaders because they want something. So, I mean, it has...
So corruption has entered the churches in Liberia?
If you don't know, you need to check it out. But
so how is it practiced now in the churches today?
Hey, I'm saying when President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf came here to Minnesota, she gave us the example. She said, listen, simple examples she gave that time. She said, listen, if you wanted to get married this coming weekend, right? Mm-hmm. But somebody else has spoken for their own marriage, and you got more money than that other person, the pastor will kick that person out. That was her exact example she gave us. But I can tell you, if you go to church today, and they thought you were from the U.S., you got a special seat in our church. Not because of your faith in Jesus or your testimony you're going to give, but because there's a hope you will give a little bit more money. There's a special seat in the front or on the stage for you based not on faith, but on what you could give. So when the routing influence in the church is materialistic or based on money, you know, even the Bible itself said you can serve God and money at the same time. So yes, corruption is kind of endemic in our society right now, and we feel, Anthony, we feel like if we have one good example of what a leader that is not bent by the influence of materials or money can bring to our society, we can start to straighten up not only our government, but our communities and our people. That's what we mean when we say a better Liberia is possible. I mean, we can change the trajectory of our people from the bottom 10 poorest countries in the world to somewhere pretty close to successful middle income or higher upper income country.
So we're talking about the fight against corruption and the rule of law. What does Tiawan bring to the table in this fight against corruption to restore hope, to restore the marriage system in our country so that our country can work for us again? What are the tools? What are the policy? What is the plan that he's bringing? What measures he's bringing to this fight against corruption specifically that we can trust in?
Well, you know, I am a behavioral health professional, and then we say we can't predict the future, but then they said the biggest evidence for how a person will behave in the future is how he has behaved in the past, right?
Right.
So looking at all the candidates on the table, if you put them side by side, compare their past with what we think they would do in the future, the thing is very clear, right? It can present to you a very clear picture who will be a better leader that we need to take us to the next level, right? Now, Liberians in the past have been thinking about, well, if we got somebody that are internationally known so that international company can give us stuff, right? That has been the thought. It's not like who can empower us to utilize the resources we already have. So that strategy has passed. Now you talk about tools. Well, the biggest tool a person can bring to the table is their vision, right? That's why you started this. Don't blame me for it, but you started the whole Bible thing. But it says in the Bible, without vision, a people perish, right? So the biggest tool a leader or supposed leader can bring to the table is a vision. And then that same Bible verse said, if you have a vision, write it down. Not like in cryptograms like AREST. That's not a vision. Or like whatever the other people have. That's not a vision.
Are you throwing punches here so soon?
No. That was the first example that just came to mind, right?
Okay.
That's not a vision. Because it said, when you have a vision, it said, write it down. But it also said, make it plain.
The ARTS, right? They wrote it down. They wrote it down.
I'm done. I'm not done yet. It said, write it down. But it said, make it plain so that people who read it will know how to help make it come to pass, right? So basically, it's like when you write it down, and when you say A for agriculture, you got to explain what you mean by agriculture. Is it how you gonna make it come to pass?
So are you saying the Waka ARTS is not written down? It's not plain enough?
Okay, we will get there though, but don't jump the gun. I was just explaining what the Bible verse said. It said,
But the
make
Bible
it
verse
plain.
didn't mention or ARTS. You
No,
said an
no.
example. That's what I'm asking you. It's
All
the
right.
ARTS is not written down. It's not plain enough.
It's what you call a cryptogram or whatever it is. It's like just a catchphrase right now, but it's a make it plain, which is like, how is it going to happen? How do you intend to do this? Right? That what make it plain means.
Mhm.
And then it also said so that the people that read it will know how they can all work together to make this vision come to pass.
Okay.
Right? So then when you have a vision, you write it down. So when we say a rule of law, we also explain what we mean when we say rule of law, so that people who read this 10-point plan know exactly what we're talking about. There's no, or maybe they'll
So
do
the
this, maybe
Gongloe
they'll do that.
vision is written down, isn't
Mhm.
it?
It is written down.
Now,
And
so how
it's
plain,
plain.
how plain and how explained it is.
All right. You want me? Let me take 1 point for you and show and tell you how plain it is. Hold on. See, that why good. When I was growing up, they say copy book better than copy here, right?
Right.
So I brought it right here with me. All right. So when they talk about rule of law, it says there will be no. We will not tolerate we will not tolerate interference with the functions of the judiciary, right?
Mhm.
Which means politicians will not be telling judges what to do. Politicians will not be telling police officers what to do. It means like the person that's the legislative officer or the honorable or senator abides under the same law as the person working on the sidewalk there, right?
Mhm.
So it's like these people will be allowed, the judiciary will be allowed to interpret the law to the extent of the law with no exception, right? And if there is discretion, it will be based on the judge's understanding of the law, not based on political influence, right?
Mhm.
And then they go all the way down there and explain it one by one and say anyone in the executive branch who interferes with the judicial functions, there'll be consequences for that, right? And it's written down. Everybody will read it. And then tomorrow, the thing about writing the plan down is when tomorrow people start to change, you can always show them the copy
I
and
mean,
say, hey, my man,
the
here's the plan.
consequences. You're talking about consequences if one goes again, the policy that has been written that there will be consequences. But you said a vision must be plain, all right, and well explained. It just stopped to there will be consequences. Is that plain enough? What kind of consequences?
No. I didn't want to read the whole page down to you, but the consequence of a transgression is either scripted by law. When they read the law, they will say, if you break this law, yeah, the consequence for breaking this law. In those places where the consequences are not written in the law leaves that to the discretion of the judge or the jury. So even when you write the vision down, and if you were to go to the nitty gritty, like prescribing, what Councillor Gongloe has always said was if there was a complaint of impropriety from somebody that works in the executive, you're going to be suspended and investigated, and if found to be guilty, will turn you over to the Solicitor General, the Ministry of Justice for prosecution,
All
or
right.
the Liberia Anti-Corruption Commission, whichever agency or entity that a transgression was made against or that is in charge of adjudicating that transgression, we will turn you over to that.
So the other thing is that when we talk about what he brings to the table, it got to be tools in every aspect so that the government can be effective. So we are talking about the fight against corruption, the rule of law, the policy, as you explained. But these judges, these police officers, people charged with the responsibility of holding others accountable. They need money. Does the plan go far enough in explaining how to make the police effective, how to make the courts and the judges effective, so that they cannot be vulnerable to the ugly things of the past that you are against in the first place?
Yes. That's the simple answer. The thing is, the police officer there is corrupt because he does not believe in a system that he works for. So the police officer, let me give you a personal example. Well, let's talk about the police officer first, and I'll give you a personal example. So the police officer arrests you, for driving the wrong way, and then you try to bribe him, and he says no. And he arrests you, takes you to the police station, and then either somebody from some higher up government office calls the police station, or the captain for that precinct comes in, the person goes and talks to the captain in the precinct, and next thing you know, that person walks free, right?
Right.
So then the police officer is demoralized. Like, why am I keeping the policy that nobody else is keeping, right? So then next time he catches somebody that's transgressing the law, he has an option. I can either take the $5 that guy gave me and let him go, or I can arrest him, take it to the place, and then get it $5 to the captain, and the captain lets him go. So one way that you can instill hope in the rule of law, and also instill a veritable implementation of the law, is to ensure that if there's transgression of the law, if that policeman takes the person to the precinct headquarters and that person goes free, there's follow-up to who set that person free. And then if that person is guilty, there's consequences. Some people might be suspended, some people will be fired. But in every society that today we look forward to, that's all they had to do to straighten up their society. The reason why corruption has become endemic and the Liberian people have become hopeless is like they've never seen a good example.
Dr. Kwan, I like the example you narrated about the police officers. You said a few things, and you mentioned one. First, the person must trust the system. And you are saying the police officer will not trust the system after refusing to take the bribe because he wants to do the right thing, and takes the person, say this, to Central, and then a higher up person comes and takes the bribe. The next time, he will not refuse the bribe because he doesn't believe in the system. So the first issue is trust. And my question was, what are the tools needed for, say, the police officer to be effective? You said first, they must trust the system. What is the next one?
Canceling impunity, right? The reason why there's no trust in the system is people feel they can break the law at any time and there'll be nothing done. In fact, I think Cllr Gongloe is always one of the biggest examples. Is everybody in Monrovia know the president's cell phone number, right? So anytime a police pulls somebody over, they pick up their phone and call somebody, and it comes out, and then they go free. But impunity is one of the stalwarts, the foundation that's holding corruption up. People can do and go free. The way you build trust in the system is when you start implementing consequences for transgression. So when you start suspending people, firing people, jailing people, that's how you build trust in the system. When people start to think twice before they even do something against the rule of law, you are instilling system. Now, it's not going to be like a magic wand that will just swing and then Liberia is going to get fixed, but we're going to restore hope. We're going to see students, when it's time to take tests, we'll see students actually go to study to take the test
So
instead of
how
going out for money to pay the teacher.
How does the Tiawan vision actually intends to take care of the civil servants, people who work in government, both officials of government and the ordinary men down there who's sweeping?
All right. Good question. Good question. Okay. So the civil servants are like the backbone of every administrative system, every government system. The civil servants are the backbone to it. In Liberia currently, we they are demoralized. I mean, these are people we expect to go to work, but we don't pay them for months and months on end. These are people that even if we try to pay them, we harmonize it to the level where they can't even support themselves, right? But the way you can restore some kind, because if we have expectation for people to work, but we're not paying them for the work they do, then we're setting ourselves up for failure. So some of the things we talk about, some of the prescriptions we talk about for fixing the system, number one will be it will be a merit-based system, right? We demoralize the civil servants when we are hiring supervisors and directors that don't even know their left from their right in the systems we put them in charge of. That's demoralizing. You got professional technocrats over there that are just there as professional technocrats. You don't have to. You got to force them to join your party before they can get promoted. That's demoralizing. Also, we need, if you have a system, a functional system. If you're an accountant, you're an accountant. If I'm paying you to be an accountant, you come to work, you do your accounting job. I don't have to force you to join my political party in order to be an accountant, right? So we go fix stuff like that. We also go fix, you pay people right. If you're paying somebody, if you're seeing somebody that is working that deserve to get paid like $300, but you're paying them $75, but money is always crossing. And when they look, they see all these people on the beaches in different countries flying private jets with the same money, but you're not paying them enough to even take care of their own children and stuff like that. If you see the civil servants where besides being paid their work being undervalued, everything in Liberia, the price gone up. Their children tuition price gone up. Everything else has gone up, but their pay is still going down, right? So some of those things, those are the prescriptions we're going to bring to the table. Like, okay, if you want an honest-based system, number one, it got to be merit-based. You're not going to hire, just somebody as a deacon in your church to make them director of this other place that they don't know nothing about. So the civil servants will be merit-based. They will be qualified to do the work that they are hired to do, and we will pay them for the work they do.
Thank you. Dr. Kwan, folks in cyberspace, as you are just joining us, this is the Hour of Politics here, a focus on Liberia. We are discussing the topic, what is Councillor Tiawan Saye Gongloe bringing to the table? He's running to be president. He says he's going to win this, and we're going to remind folks, he said he's going to win this. I want to see if that's going to come to pass. That's why we're going to take a short break. When we come back, we'll be talking about the economy. The economy is the engine of any nation. One cannot stand. They say, empty bed can't stand. Liberia as a country, the belly, the stomach is the economy. How is Tiawan Gongloe going to take care? What is he bringing to the table in terms of economic revival and development and growth? A short break and we'll be right back.
Our country, that God gave us this country. Fellow Liberian, that God gave us this country. We are calling on everyone here to come and pray for this country, Liberia. Liberia, God gave us this country.
You heard it there. God gave us this country, Liberia, and we all have a responsibility. Councillor Gongloe is one person who is trying to take that responsibility to the presidential level. If and when he is successful to make it happen, the economy must be there for us, or else we are doomed. What does Tiawan Gongloe bring to the table? What is he bringing to the table for economic development in Liberia? Dr. Kwan, what is he bringing to the table? The economy is dead.
All right. So Liberia currently is practicing the economic strategies that have failed over and over again. We have an economy that is based almost entirely on gratis we get from other country people. We build a budget system and we go big, other people to give us the money. And then we go brag about, oh, look, I with the budget big, every $500 million that you go beg other people for, right? And it's still, your bag is still empty, right? If we're still talking about rice riot, possible rice riot, people are still trampling each other in 2022 to buy a bag of rice in Liberia. That's a failed system, right? So here's what we're bringing to the table. Number one, not number one, but one of the things we're bringing to the table. Liberia can feed itself, right? It's a small country, 5 million people. There's more people in Minneapolis, St. Paul City alone than our entire Republic of Liberia. It's a small place. We can feed ourselves. So we're bringing strategies to the table that we move to the next level where we can feed ourselves. We're going to produce our own foods. We eat not just the rice, but the edo and the plantain and the yam and all that stuff.
How are you going to produce those things?
The same way other people produce it, we're going to grow them.
Right? I don't know those ways. Tell me how.
All right, we going to grow them, but we're going to emphasize mechanized farming, commercial farming, in just the same way the countries that are giving us the rights.
What is mechanized and commercial farming? We hear that from those of you supporting the politicians.
Mechanized,
what is it?
Mechanized farming is where you use a machine to do most of the work of the farm. So you don't have to join a coup per se, even though they have what they call co-ops, where a few farmers, commercial farmers, might get together to aggregate their resources in order to make use of those different
so
things.
Who are the people who will be doing that commercial farming? Who are the people who will be doing that?
So then, as part of the Liberianization policy, we are going to encourage those industries that we depend on to be run and owned by Liberians, right? The government is going to do what it can to subsidize Liberians that need the subsidies in order to establish those things. Another one that's pretty easy we can get immediately into that Councillor Gongloe has spoken of is the engineering corps of the Liberian military. We already hired them, we're already paying them, and they're just sitting there, right? Here in the United States, on some of the major routes of transportation in this country, the U.S. Engineering Corps, the Army Engineering Corps is the one in charge of those things. They're making sure, for example, people still use the Mississippi River as a major means of transportation in this country. But that system is run by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. right? So we can use our Liberian Army Corps or engineer to be the prototype to start a commercial farm. These are people we already paying them, we already hired them, they are already trained to do this kind of stuff, and then they can they can make our first prototype public commercial farm to use so that people can see. We live in a country where people only believe what they can see with their eyes, which is part of our problem. So then it's like we're going to have to do a few of these things for people to see. And then they're, oh, so that what you mean, right? Liberia, the soil is fertile enough. Another thing to do to prop up the economy, he said most of our industries are based in Montserrat County and the coastal areas, right? And he said, listen, if the government is going to incentivize industries to move up to the hinterland, right? Back in the day when I was growing up, people left Montserrat to go to Yucaipa to work. They left Montserrat to go to Sano County or even Maryland. Lusuco was in Maryland when it was making sugar, packets of sugar in Maryland. And people went on that side. So we're going to encourage some industries to move up country. And then he said, for every 50 miles you go inland, you get some kind of drop on your taxes. Another way to prop up the economy is like, you have to stop this extractive industry where, we get all those logs, but we buy furniture from China that ain't got logs. So then we sell our logs and then buy chairs. It don't make sense. That maybe we can start to build the furniture in Liberia and then we import it to China or to the US, but that will create the jobs there. When I was growing up, there was a sawmill in Tapata, Nima County. We have people there from Gambia and other places that were working in the sawmill. When they didn't just ship out the whole log. It went to the sawmill, it got turned into planks, and it was professionally done. Those things have to come back where we see things in the country. That's how you prop up the economy.
Talking about the economy further, another thing I continue to hear from your nominee is the Liberianization policy. Has it worked in Liberia? Did it work when it was in place? How is this going to be of any help? What actually is it, this Liberianization policy? I hear that a lot from him.
All right. There are several components of the Liberianization policy. Mm-hmm. One component, don't ask me details on that because I read it a long time ago, but I think there's like 27 industries in Liberia that by law were set aside for only Liberians, right? Mm-hmm. That, Lebanese people can't do this type of business or Indians or something. Only Liberians can do it. It's in the law. When we talk about rule of law, that's one. I don't know if people are obeying those things these days, but those industries were there. They set by law to say only Liberians can do this. Now, one of the reasons maybe if it has not been fully implemented is you can pass a law and then don't support it. So then when the legislature in the past passed the law that said only Liberians can do this business, the legislature was also supposed to set aside a certain amount of money to give to Liberians to either as a grant or a loan, a subsidized loan to give to Liberians to engage in those businesses, right? That's one part. The part of the Liberianization policy that we talk about in our campaign mostly is based on what Councillor Gongloe did when he was Minister of Labor. So he found out that there was these menial jobs that people were importing people to Liberia to do. Things like you go to the grocery store and the cashier, all they have to do is scan your Fanta or your bread that you buy. You don't need to import somebody from India or Lebanon or from Nigeria to kind of scan the stuff, right? But that's what was happening while the UL was graduating 4,000 people a year. There were people importing, and then, the business college is the largest college there at UL. So some year they graduate 2,000 accountants and business managers. And then the government's or other people are hiring accountants and business managers from Nigeria and Ghana and stuff. So it was like the Liberianization policy. The vision is if there are positions or opportunities that Liberians can do, the government supports a company, a corporation, whether private or public, hiring a Liberian into that position if they are qualified to do the position. However, if you decide to bring a foreigner to do something that Liberians can do, then there's a cost to that. And all we did was we raised the cost so that, when every business based on a cost benefit ratio. So when we raised the cost, then it became more beneficial for these corporations to hire a Liberian than to bring a foreigner in. And that's why today, when you go to those same grocery stores, you see Liberian people are now doing things like cashier work. You go to a construction company, even though it's owned by a foreign corporation, but you see the people digging a hole and stuff like that, the Liberian people, because that's something they can do, right?
That's why Tiawan Gongloe continued to say he doesn't want to be president, but he wants to be a project manager.
Mm-hmm.
And another thing I hear him say is Liberia is in ICU.
Yeah.
So when I look at that, I'm saying, okay, this is a country that is at a critical stage. You need a massive project to revive it, to get it on wheels, to start running a little faster. The question is, what is any massive transformative program that Councillor Tiawan Gongloe is bringing to the table? Because the way he described the problem, the country is in ICU, I am a project manager. What is that one transformative project that is massive enough? I have not heard it. What is it?
Good question. Good question. And I think you said almost the same thing the councillor says, right? When you say Liberia is at a critical stage, it's the same thing as being in the ICU. Only patients in critical stage goes to the ICU. Now, that analogy, here's what it means. When a person is in the ICU, their standards, the basic thing between the ICU and the project management analogy is that prioritization is going to happen. Like you said, Liberia has a lot of issues and a lot of things are not going right. So as a project manager or a provider in the ICU, the first thing we're going to do is prioritize what comes first, what comes second, what comes third. The reason some of these governments, especially recent governments, have failed is trying to be jack of all trade and master of none, so that even the things they're bragging about, you see, like they say, oh, we face the road from one place to the other place, but they face 2 miles yet, then they jump over the bridge. Because they can't face the bridge, they go in front and face another 2 miles, then they jump over the muddy place and then go in front. So they're doing piece by piece, but you look at it, it's like, man, the road's still not done, right? If you get a quota, but no bridge on the road and people still got to go in the hole and come out, and then rainy season, nobody can drive on your quota. I mean, you still got
I'm still looking for that
major
that's what I'm transformative program. You are still describing something. I mean, describe for me a massive transformative program. So let's say in the area of education, for example, what is anything massive that he's bringing to the table in terms of arresting the country?
Okay, all right. Let me give you another. Let me give you the plans we have in the plans we have
Education,
in
for example.
Education, for example.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Okay.
Yeah.
Education, number one, should be a right to every Liberian child. It's not a privilege. Not only certain people's children supposed to go to good school and other people's children don't go to school at all. So primary education, we're going to make it mandatory and compulsory, which means every child will go to school, whether your parents can afford it or not. Just the same way, like in this country, the policing a 10-year-old kid on a Monday or Tuesday walking outside there, they're going to stop you. How can you not in school, right? And they're going to call your parents, how can the child not in school? Because it's mandatory for the kids to go to school. That's how you build a population that's able to support the country and the stuff. Okay, that's one, in primary school. All right. Secondly, in education, we decided, like, by the time you get to secondary school, not only the people in Monrovia are supposed to have the best schools, or like you got to go to San Quillet, you got to go to some kind of concession area to go to good schools, right? So, for example, like Todman High, which is a government, it's a public school. Hold on, let me give you, hold on now, let me get the strategy. Yes, the strategy. Let's see.
No, hold on. So you get a child in school. Hold on, please. You get a child in school.
All right.
That is a policy that, you know, every child in Liberia must be in school when that child reaches that school going age, right? It's mandatory. That's a policy. But I'm looking for something massive.
Yeah, I was just getting there.
What is the child learning? What are the activities, you know, that will be in the school, you know? I mean, to give us a transformation, to build a foundation. That's what I'm looking for.
Well, that's what I'm trying to give you. Remember, it's a systemic issue, right? So we are coming at it from a system level. And I was trying to tell you on the secondary level, like Todman High School, everybody in Liberia agrees that was a good school, right? And it was the go-to school. Now, we believe what we're bringing to the table is once the government has an example of a school like Todman High in Monserrato, in Monrovia, we believe that every county should have at least one public school built on that model. And whatever facilities and resources that Todman High School has, every county needs at least one school like that, public school, that will be fully equipped, just like Todman High. The amount of teachers, the teacher-to-student ratio, the qualification of teachers, and everything. We're going to use that prototype, but then spread it across the country. You don't have to leave Grand Crew County to come to Monrovia in order to.
And how do you sustain it? How do you sustain it?
What do you mean how? This the same way that Todman High is being sustained. We are only doing it at a greater scale. So it's not like the money is not there. The money is there. It's the vision that's lacking, right?
Are you sure the money is there?
The money is there. The money is there.
How come we don't see the money?
That's where the corruption comes in. So then the money is there, but because there are certain people hanging on to the public money for their private good, so it is not reaching down to the public. But the money is there. And now within the same state in the education level, not everybody goes to college, right? Mm-hmm. So while we will encourage college and try to make it accessible to as many people that want to go, we also are encouraging trade schools for those who want to learn by apprenticeship, those who want to go to trade school immediately after high school, because our bigger goal here is that every adult in Liberia is supposed to be engaged in productive activity. That's how the country makes more money. So the country, when we go to school here in the States, the country is investing in their citizen so that when we grow up, we get a job and pay taxes. So it's an investment. And we, so we invest in the people, and we are going to invest in as many people as we can so that they too can pay back to society by getting a job and paying income taxes from the money they make.
Thank you so very much. That was Dr. Saye Gongloe. He is the chairman of the board, Tiawan Gongloe, Minnesota, and he's also chairman of the board, Friends of Tiawan Gongloe Global. He is my guest today, and we are discussing the topic: what is Councillor Tiawan Gongloe bringing to the table? He is running for president of the Republic of Liberia. We will take a short break. When we come back, we'll be reading your comments, and then we will be going to our closing. So stay tuned, don't go anywhere.
One game. All right, Joe Mullenberg writes, yes, fix it from the top. Isaac writes, show me the old mat, and I will give you the job. So the person is asking, show me how Tiawan Gongloe has done it before, and then he will get my vote if I can interpret it for us here. Tiawan Gongloe is bringing ignorance to the table. That person is throwing a punch. Let's hear from Sharon. Sharon kept her right. Copy hair better than copy book. She is repeating something you said. Flomo Livingstone writes, how is rule of law a plan that a constitution issue? I don't know what you're saying, Flomo, there. Moravia Boy writes, Tiawan Gongloe is the best candidate to be president. We can't keep recycling these crooks, thieves, and murderers and the enablers to steer our country's affairs. Moravia Boy, again, he's basically here. We have a deficit of trust in the system. Moravia Boy, again, Councillor Tiawan Gongloe told us on day one he will issue an executive order empowering the police to do their jobs. And any of his officials interfering with the police function will be fired or sacked. Let's hear from William K. McDavis. Where was Councillor Gongloe when the command structure of the law enforcement were weakening by the Ellen Johnson Sirleaf administration by forcibly retired career-trained professionals and abrogated the Special Security Services SSS was one of the elite VIP's protective organizations on the west coast of Africa, now named Executive Protective Service EPS. We're still reading comments here. Joe Monenberg again, our army is not fighting war, so we will use our army to grow full. Monenberg again, government will provide farmers with tools to grow food. Isaac again, Tiawan Saye Gongloe is bringing the rule of law system that is the foundation for growth and development. The only candidate with the track record of transformation, integrity, and accountability. Joe again, we would encourage everyone county to make farm. The year from fixed electronics, focusing on trade, can't build without the trees. Gongloe stated that. Then he continues, tax breaks for companies every 50 miles from the capital. Then he continues here, modeling North Dakota and Nebraska in terms of agricultural production. He continues here, he said he will fight crime and corruption. Fixed electronics is basically here, more plumbers, more electricians, more carpenters, more truck drivers, more masons, more welders, and more tailors. Yeah, those are the comments you'll respond.
Oh, I think they were all positive. They were mostly saying what I had said earlier. There was somebody that had asked, where was Gongloe when Ellen sacked some people? I don't know what he meant by that. You have to give me the year that happened so I can guess his stuff, or why she changed the name from the name of the bodyguards to the president from SSS to EPS. I don't know. I don't know why Ellen did what she did, but I'm sure changing the name of the bodyguards to the president might not have impacted how they performed. But those are not things I think any private citizen can do anything about. Gongloe was in the first term of Ellen's administration, and you don't have to go far. You can just Google it. It says only the liar can say my witness fireplace. Just Google Gongloe, and then you will see what he did during those days. Somebody has said Gongloe was bringing ignorance to the table. Well, I don't know. All I can say is bike at you, because if you thought what Gongloe was bringing to the table was ignorance, check yourself out. That's all I'm going to say about that one. But like those other comments were all positive, and they were all things that we have been talking about. And some of those people are people that are on the table with us, especially Joe Mullenberg. You know, he's the executive director of Team Gongloe, Minnesota. Isaac is one of our men on the ground. So things are going well from our perspective. Now, we expected some level of resistance from Liberia, especially from both ends, right? There are these political elites here that whenever you talk about fighting corruption, they're ready to fight. Because,
Dr. Kwan,
yeah.
let's talk about the chances of your nominee. Because all of the good things, you talk about here, everything sounds so beautiful, and sweet. But nothing will happen if you can't win. Now, here you're talking about there'll be a fight, The people decide, not the people that you're accusing of coming to fight you, right? So
no,
how is Tiawan Gongloe going to bring the people on his side to win? Is he going to win this thing? How is he going to do it?
We believe we will win. It might take us a while to get the message to sink in, but we believe we will win because we have a better candidate. We have a better vision for the country. Now, I had alluded to fighting at both ends. At this end, we have these corrupt people, or the people that benefit from the corruption. we expect a fight from them because it's like we're going to take something from out of their mouths, right? And then on the other side, we are fighting to convince the Liberian people that there can be a politician who is not corrupt. That's the fight we have on the other side because they believe they have never seen it before. They have never seen a politician that will come and then not steal from them. And they are accustomed to politicians stealing from them and telling them, oh, we have one that will not steal from you. It's just hard for them to believe it. But we are working on it. Once we get to work on it and our message goes through, the majority of the Liberian people are on their side, are on our side, because listen, dignity is a thing.
Are you sure the majority is on your side?
The
You
majority
mentioned
is on
earlier.
our side.
You mentioned earlier that you have a good message. Your candidate, your nominee has a plan. I mean, he has a vision. So talking about plan, vision, and majority, and you said your candidate, your message, and your vision, these are the things that are going to make you to win. My question is, does the majority know you, hearing your message, and know that you have a vision that they can count on or believe in?
That's what we're working on now, and we will continue to work on it until October 9th or October 10th, wherever the law requires us to end the campaign. We are still working on it. I cannot tell you with a straight face right now that the majority has accepted our message. Like I said, they're skeptical because there's been a lot of people who came before and told them, oh, I will do this when I win, and then they don't do it. And there's a majority that just voted just 5 years ago, a hope for change, and then realized there's no hope. And if anything changed, things got worse. So now coming back to tell them about something they've never seen before, it's a big task, but we are working on it. Now we have those things you need, the good message, the good messenger, and the majority. We got two already. We got two. We got a good message, we got a good messenger, and we are working on the majority. And we're sure we will get there before the day of the election.
You heard him. They are working on getting the majority on their side. They have a good candidate. They have a good message. They have a vision. But will they get cut off with time, knowing now that their nominee is yet to pick somebody to run along with him? I mean, how much time does he need to do that? We are exactly 4 months, 1 week to election day. How far are you with deciding your vice presidential nominee?
Not very far at all. But I just want to clear the air. All right. In the last couple of elections we've had, nobody selected their VP before July. Now, Unity Party had a reason why they wanted their candidate to select the VP early, because they blame his poor choice in the 2017 for losing the election. So there was high pressure in Unity Party for their candidate to make a choice early, so that if he made a bad choice, they'll have longer time to kind of spin it around. So he announced early. Now, we are not just followers of the crowd. As soon as he announced, the pressure was on everybody. Oh, because Baka did it, you got to do it too. And those who are moved by the crowd, they did. There's a system there in Liberia that said, okay, the presentation of candidates and selection, I think it's from June 14 to July 14, right? Mm-hmm. So we're not even to June 14, the time in the election calendar that you're supposed to present your candidate. We're not even there yet. But because Baka did it, and because it's like there's this thing about following the crowd, everybody makes it look like
is set. Bwaka is set.
Cummings
is set. Tiawan Gongloe is coming from behind, and he stayed behind.
Do you agree that you are the underdog here?
Oh, we came into the race knowing we were the underdog, but we are championship dog. We're not the kind of dog that you're gonna get and pack someplace for a decade. We come to the party as an underdog, and it's kind of like surprising that the people that how you call it overdog or front runners, and but you see, don't get me started going that route. But we know we coming from under, but we know we coming with a message that says, listen, we're gonna follow the rules, right? We're not just gonna be like everybody else. The rules say you're gonna present your candidate in June. The people that did it April, it's okay. The people that followed them did it's okay.
The
But we're
last
gonna take
time,
our time and we will do it right.
the last time we had Councillor Gongloe here, I think it's less than a month ago now. He confirmed what the LPP USA Secretary General has said, that the LPP will select a female for a vice presidential nominee. And when Councillor Gongloe was here, he confirmed that yes, it will be a woman. Are you tying yourself to a female pig, or are you opening the window? We are hearing names of other people who are not female. What is happening? Are you still sticking to your plan to pick a female, or you opening the window for any possibility if you don't find a woman?
The selection of the vice president is the prerogative of the standard bearer, right?
In consultation with his supporters and party, right?
It is the prerogative of the standard bearer.
I agree with that, but in
All right.
consultation with his supporters and party, correct?
Of course.
Okay.
It's ahead of a team, but it's like.
So why are you hearing? That's my question. Why are you hearing?
I have not heard anything specific. It is his desire that it will be a female, because he has said if he were to become president, he will try as much as possible to make 50% of the executive branch, the leadership of the executive branch, female. All right. Mm-hmm. But, like you said, by saying that, there's an insinuation that there is a qualified female that is also ready to jump in the fight with us. I think he opened the door if there was such a female, so that they can come and join our campaign, right? But I will not agree that he tied himself to a peg. If such a female does not exist, or if such a female is not willing to get into Liberian politics as it is today, it is understandable. He will still get a vice president, but you might want to invite him next time and say, if it turns out that it is not a female, let him tell you why he didn't go with one. But I don't try to push him to explain to me about the VP picks or choices, because I'm leaving that up to him as one of his first privileges to enjoy. And then we will be ready and willing to support whomever he picks.
What we see here, and it is similar to the U.S. and Liberia. Barack Obama would get the Democratic nomination in 2008, and he would pick a senator from Delaware, Joe Biden. And then Joe Biden would get the Democratic nomination. He would pick a senator, Kamala Harris, from California. Joseph Boakai would get his party nomination and would pick a senator from Nema County, Jeremiah Kwanku.
Yeah.
George Manawia would get his party nomination and would pick a senator from Bond County, Joel Howard Taylor. Right. Now, Cummings went the other way, but before then he was shooting for Nyambli Kanka Lawrence, a senator from Grand Bassa County. The reason it didn't happen is because she said no. Yep. So I'm just curious, is Tiawan going to go with what has been a pattern of politicians to pick a senator or somebody elected, or will he be Cummings, even though that is not Cummings, that was not his first choice. So I don't want to go with that. How is he going to do this? Because when I look in the Senate, I see two women, and one is taken by or not two. We got Boto Cannon there. So I mean, and maybe the window is open for Boto Cannon. What kind of woman he's looking for? An elected woman, or just any woman?
All right. Okay. So I will leave your insinuation about U.S. candidates on this side. Let's talk about Liberia. Now, the choice of the vice president should not be a political decision like those ones you refer to. Mm-hmm. The basis.
No, it should be a political decision. You know what I mean?
Hold on now. Let me explain myself.
Okay.
All right. When you have a vision and you're looking for a vice president, you bring your vision and say, listen, if I win, here's what I want to do, right? Here's what's laid on my heart to do. And then you find somebody that can help you accomplish the vision. Now, that's how
Joe Biden was helpful.
Hold on. I said, let's leave the U.S. thing and let's talk about Liberia, because that will make it too long. Now, the Liberian thing, look at what happened. Where George Minor we are saying, okay, well, we're going to pick Jewel Howard Taylor because Bond County is like the third or fourth most populated place, and they just pick her because of which county she
and
picked.
He will go to win.
Oh, hold on now. Right? So you pick somebody that will just make you win, but you have no value in the person. Right? Or Ellen said, or something. You pick a vice president, and then
electoral politics is about winning.
And then you park there in the garage for 12 years. Or you talk about
electoral politics is about winning, Dr. Klein.
Hold on now. Let me get done. Right? So no, we're not. Well, I don't know how the Cllr is going to make his decision, but the way these people you name chose their vice president has never worked for the country. Yes, they won, but look at them. I think if you were to ask, no, I'm saying there's a way we can win, but differently, and we'll do it the right way, right? If you were to ask the president today how he feels about himself and what the Liberian people think about him today, as they thought about him 10 years ago, I'm sure he will not even take 10 seconds to answer you. He'll prefer the way he was thought of 10 years ago. But when you make the decision just to win, and you are so desperate that you will do anything just to win, that's how we end up with the kind of people we have today. We will not follow that track. We will look for somebody who can make the vision come to pass. And the way I said, we still have our work to do. We are going to tell the Liberian people there's a right way to do this, so that your vice president is your partner in leadership, and not just somebody, the token you use to win, and then throw them away in the garage and lock it up. We're not going to do that.
You're throwing some jab there, folks. This is how we will come to the end of the discussion. Dr. Kwan, your 30 seconds closing statement.
All right. I want to say thank you.
Frankie LV.
Go do your closing, sir. Go ahead.
Well, yeah, I was going to say thank you for this opportunity. I really enjoyed it. I hope the Liberian people heard us. The change we are talking, a better Liberia is possible. It's not just a slogan. It is true. A better Liberia is possible. The kind of indignity you are going through today, the inability to even feed yourself or your children, it's not right. You live in a country that is blessed by God to be a rich country. But you need a system that will support you so that you can take care of yourself and your family. That's where success is. This new system of governance where everybody wants to be a politician because that's the only place enjoyment is. It can last and we can't allow it to go on. We are counting on you guys to enjoy that simple, to accept that simple message. I know you can see it because most of you have not seen it before. But if it works in other countries, it can work in Liberia. We are smarter, we are stronger, and we are more optimistic people than the countries that are considered successful countries today. All we need is that opportunity for us to have our own one good example of what a true leader is supposed to be. And that's all we are asking you. Give us that opportunity, and we will show you what a better Liberia will look like. Thank you again, Focus on Liberia. And I'm available most days of the week if you want to bring me back. If you got any questions, any clarification that's needed, let me know. We'll make the time to come and talk to our people. Thank you very much.
Thank you. That was the voice of Dr. Sankman, a supporter of Councillor Tiawan Gongloe, who was running for President of the Republic of Liberia. And this is how we will come to the end of the broadcast. This song says, Papa Gongloe come to our help. This song says, the people of Nimba are suffering, the people of Granjit are suffering, the youth are really suffering. And the song says, with Tiawan Gongloe, the corruption will soon be history.
Something.
And they are doing all of day asking for your hope, your vote. And they say they're going to restore dignity, they are going to restore. If you believe them, the choice is yours. My name is Saye Gongloe, the host of the Hour of Politics. This is how we'll come to the end of this broadcast. Until we see you again, remember always the song that takes us home is called We Are All Liberians. That Akbar is, and his man Gongloe is, and they are asking for your vote. Election is right here. Until I see you again, bye-bye.
We are Liberians.